Okay, well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming to. I think this is our second talk of the year at NXT GEN Mineral Collectors. It's a pleasure to have you. And I'm really pleased today to be joined by Mark Wrigley and Frank Wrigley from eRocks. And we've mixed up the style a little bit today. So it's the 20-year anniversary of eRocks being online. And I'm sure everyone knows, but eRocks is an online mineral auctioning website that connects dealers and collectors from around the world and has sold tens of thousands of minerals in its couple of decades being online. So to celebrate that 20-year anniversary, Mark and I thought it would be fantastic to come together in conversation. So that's why we're here today. So I'll let you introduce yourself, Mark.
Oh, okay. I'll fire again. So this is Mark, and I will give a lip service and praise to Frank, who sat beside me, who is my son, my second son to join the business. As I said, I'm Mark. I think a lot of you guys know me anyway from particularly online interactions, and we've met quite a few people around the shows over the years. So yeah, that's me. I married to Christian, who is the I would say the commercial engine room of the business. She is the does all the tax and VAT and everything else, which is a very important part of the business. But she doesn't like rocks very much, so I'm sorry about that.
That's the classic situation, isn't it? The enthusiastic partner and the less enthusiastic partner.
No, she's enthusiastic, particularly when I don't put the correct expenses through, etc. But yeah, that's another story. Yeah. So yeah. So basically, I'm Mark, and I can give you some background. Are we doing background questions, or should I just go straight into it, Shanice?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself as who's Mark? Who's Mark Wrigley?
Right. Well, Mark Wrigley. Yes. That's a. I basically I became interested in mineralogy. I think probably like most people here through my dad, who was uh, after the war was a royal engineer, and through his interests in industrial archaeology, etc. I was very fortunate to be living in the Forest of Dean, a place called Ross and Wye, and then latterly to Monmouth, where the whole area is just absolutely covered with industrial archaeology, mining, and a lot of coal mining, a lot of iron mining, and lots of really interesting holes in the ground. So, of course, Dad, being Dad, thought, well, it's going to risk my 8-year-old son's life. I'll drag him down a few mines. So that's where the flame really got lit, and the interests developed there on afterwards. My dad was very friendly with a guy called George Hall, and I think people on him might know George Hall, who was he was the guy who got the Gwynfinith and Clydach mines working again in the early 1970s. George Hall used to run the bicycle shop in Gloucester, and my dad befriended him. And one of my very earliest recollections of going collecting was going down with them to Gwynfinith mine before they actually reopened it, and just walking in and seeing all the malachite, aragonite formations down the walls of the mine, and looking down into the lagoons down the shafts, this blue water. It's an absolutely exhilarating experience for a 10-year-old. So, yep, and for my 10th birthday, I was given an S-ring hammer and a carbide lamp, freshly purchased from the cycle shop in Gloucester. And that Christmas, because my birthday is November, which was January 1970, our New Year's Day was spent. I didn't have a hangover in those days because I was too young. On the tips in Lanarkshire at Lead Hills. So I was at the Big White Heap before it was a Big White Heap, and in those days it was just an abandoned mining site, and the quality of stuff you could just pick up off the ground was amazing. So that's how I got into it, and I thereon after have had a fairly healthy interest in natural history, mineralogy, ecology, etc.
Yeah.
At school, I wanted to do geology, but was told I wanted to be a doctor. So that was never going to happen. But I didn't do geology either. So I basically sort of parked my sort of actual collecting interest for quite a long time. In fact, up into the mid 90s. Through which then I got reinterested, reacquainted, because my dear old dad, went on holiday to North Yorkshire, but happened to go across the Weardale and find some fluorite lying on a dump. Said, "Oh, look at this stuff!" So
Lovely.
that was
So
it.
that's your real kind of early experience with minerals, kind of out in the field and collecting. What did your first collection actually look like? Did you collect things from Britain, the world? Was it
Oh,
self-collected? What did that
I,
look like?
I just very early on, we just had bits that we found in old ham and lamb's key mines in the forest, or bits of quartz and things that we've found some fairly interesting things in the Welsh mines. We went up there, but there was nothing you would ever describe as being fantastic, fabulous, etc. It was all just I would say schoolboy, nice rocks and whatever. So I really never had a mineral collection. I'm sorry. I apologise to the crowd, but my interest has always been through my working life, and collectors and collecting, which
So you're
is
much more focused on the community then?
it's a bit of both. Obviously, I know a lot about minerals and have, over the last lifetime of experience and learned a lot about minerals and studied, etc. But I would never say I've got thousands of minerals knocking around the place, but I don't actually have a collection as such. I've got two bits I collected with my brand new Westwing hammer and my carbide lamp back in 1969. And those are obviously very dear to me, and a massive, obviously sentimental value. But I don't have, like yourself, Shanice, lovely cabinets and etc. But
I
that
guess some people would argue that that actually makes the best dealer because then you can let go of the best things.
well, I would say, yeah, I'd agree with that. But my input to what I do, which has always been from the very early days of Thames Valley Minerals, and even when I was before Thames Valley Minerals, selling on eBay, it was in the late 90s. I was quite an early adopter on eBay. I was much more interested in the cataloguing, the provenance,
Okay, yeah.
the history, because I did come from a sort of industrial archaeology sort of experience with my dad. I mean, my dad was interested in the old tram tracks as he was in the minerals. So it's so I've always had that. I've always enjoyed social history,
Yeah.
and the humanities side of what we do. Because so if you go to someone like Killup, etc., you experience what these poor guys, mostly guys, there were women involved, of course, but mostly guys were involved in the way they lived and how they were horribly exploited in many cases. That to me, that resonates. And yeah, and it's still part of humanities today in terms of mining and whatever. Not in this country, but elsewhere. So yeah, that's the and part of my business acumen, if you like, which I brought into when I decided that perhaps I should try having a go at being a mineral dealer, was my my business abilities in, which probably people might question, but systems and processes, understanding, cataloging data, all this stuff is a really massive part of
Yeah,
what we do
of
at
course.
Erox.
So I just want to pick your brains about something that you touched on, which is the question of social history. And I guess there are two ways that you can look at the social history of mineral collecting. There's the people that actually collect the minerals and, all the things that are going on socially and historically and politically with the mining industry and all of that. And then there's the social history of the mineral collecting community itself, the
Yeah.
dealers, the collectors, the writers, all of those people. So I'm curious, just on that kind of second way of understanding social history, when did you first become part of the community? Like, what was your first show, for example, that you attended?
Well, first mineral show would have been 1998, probably. One of the first shows I ever went to was I met Jesse Fisher and Carl Graeber.
Oh,
They've
yeah,
just come over, who
the Rodgley
names you
heads.
know well. So I think, and that would have been Oxford show, and that would have been March 90, I think 97, I think it was. when I really got into, actually, I was collecting then. I had quite a big collection of Romanian minerals. Main reason for collecting Romanian minerals was because they were a lot nicer than things you could pick up off dumps in Wales, and they weren't too expensive to buy in those days. So there was basic economics going on there. You get something good looking and appreciable for a reasonable sum of money from working mines. You collected those because even in those days, you wanted to collect Cornish or decent Weird Al pieces. They were certainly out of my budget at the time. So yeah. So first mineral show, say Oxford, 1997 or so, and my first mineral show I sold at was Oxford Show, I think probably 2000s. So yeah, and everybody loved me there because I was giving everybody 30% off because I didn't know what I was doing.
So how did that transition happen? So you transitioned from picking stuff up from the dumps to selling at the Oxford show in the early 2000s. What sparked that transition to mineral dealing?
I might doff my cap to a guy called Dave Renison, who you may
Oh, I've heard
know.
of him. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's quite a long story and probably not very interesting. But I mean, my work career, I worked as in management. I was a business development director for a part of British Telecom, BT, dealing with I was the systems engineering and technical guy for the Vodafone account back in the day. So when Vodafone were Vodafone, the second mobile phone operator in the UK, I used to be the technical support guy for their network.
Yeah.
So I was basically selling into from BT into Vodafone. So massive contract in those days, and I really didn't like it very much. I really did not think this was me. I mean, obviously there's benefits of working hard in a organised industry, etc. But it just wasn't me. I thought I got more to give to myself and my family than working 12 hours a day doing expensive and high end contracts for somebody else, basically. Through my dad, through my trips to Weird Al, etc., I got, like yourself, Shanice, very interested in fluorites and the mines of Weird Al and the history of Weird Al. And dear old Dave Renison, he's not so old actually, but he ran the little shop in the craft centre at Stanhope called Gemcraft, and he was quite an entrepreneur. And he just said to me one day, and I was just going to talk to him for hours. He said, Mark, he said, you'll never regret it if you give up your job and just go and do mineral. You'll just never look back. And so, yeah, that's that I will doff my cap to Dave Renison for actually putting me on the spot. And yeah, I listened to him.
Yeah, no,
Um,
we're all glad you did. So let's move on then to E-Rocks because that's obviously what kind of brings us all together here today. So you were selling at the Oxford show. Everyone loved you. 30% off. In fact, I've seen Jesse Fisher's mineral catalog and I've seen specimens that you sold to him way back in the day. There's this really nice jug vein, really bright yellow jug vein piece from the Brownlee Hill mine that you sold to him, and I'm like, gosh, I wish I was back in those early days. But how
yeah,
did
30%.
you? Yeah, go on,
Sorry.
sorry.
No, so 30% off would have probably appealed as well, Shanice. But yeah,
So how did you? Where did the idea for E-Rocks come from? What made you
right.
think that that would be something that would land with people?
Well, that's very interesting. Bear in mind my background, systems and processes. I was building systems that, one of the last things I did for LFBT was build everybody overseas may not, but everybody in the UK should remember Cellnet,
Yeah.
who were BT's mobile phone. We built an ISP, Internet Service Provider, for them, which in those days it was floppy disks at the post office. You used to pick up your floppy disk, stick it in your computer, and dial up your modem and connect to the internet. I mean, but we built that for them. So and behind that was a huge amount of database, understanding customers, interrelationships, how a business operates online, etc. So I had a lot because it was very new in those days. I had experience and knowledge and slightly entrepreneurial sort of ideas about these things. And in those days, online mineral dealing was very, very, um, I would say, sparse. eBay had come along
Mm.
in 19. I think I first signed up with eBay in 1998, and the rocks and minerals section, you could actually sit down on a cup of coffee on a Monday morning and go through everything that we listed in the weekend. I mean, you just couldn't do that now. But in
Yeah.
those days, it was that, and I very quickly understood. Speaking to people like Dave Renison and the other people I met, that huge part of mineral collecting is actually cataloguing, knowing what you've got, etc. And the whole premise of eBay didn't have any of that in it. eBay was just basically a blank form, stick up what you like. And so two things happened with eBay when it first started off, and I think we're seeing it a bit today, without sounding controversial, is that there was no sort of a self-regulation.
Yep.
So eBay has their buyer feedback system, but that's not very good. And people to literally list what they like without cataloging, etc., without any standards, which is one thing. And the other thing was that once it listed and sold, the data was lost. So, and I'd liaised with a few of my overseas colleagues. I think Roger Lang's on the call, he may not be. Christian Ravitza, sort of various other people in Germany, and points further away, and thought, well, yeah, if eBay can do it, why can't we?
Mm.
So,
And in a better
uh,
way.
hopefully a better way, because at the end of the day, if you have a community of people working together with the same goals in mind, you can basically improve things. And the cataloging system on eBay was one size fits all, whereas the catalog system on eRocks, as it was developed, um, obviously it's linked to Mindat, and so it gives you scientific information as well, and all things fitted together. Bearing in mind this was 2003, when the idea was first brought to mind, with my original Thames Valley Minerals website.
Mm.
Database websites, just they were new. Your original 5 pages of HTML documents with it was basically a price list online for. So the other part was to give people the opportunity to actually have a cataloging database service, because in those days it wasn't widely available. So there was a gap in the market. eBay was a little bit like the Wild West, so anybody doing anything across all categories. So yeah, that's where the idea came from. I got a good friend of mine at the time who was a web developer, and we actually came up with a website in a box idea, which was basically a floppy disk in a box, but it allowed you to run up a database-driven website, which
Okay.
kind of like Shopify today. It's I missed my opportunity, but that was in 2003. So yeah, 2000 roll on to 2006, and I thought, well, you know, it's with a lot of help from my friends in the community. Yeah, go on, Mark, let's go for it. We launched eRocks, and I wouldn't say we've not looked back since, because that would be a lie, because it's extremely it's been a extremely hard work, and at times difficult sort of progression from start to where we are today. So yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell. Um, the concept was to give people a good and fair trading platform,
Yeah.
brokerage, where people were invited to buy and sell. Obviously, we do, and we still do, a huge amount of curation and understanding and helping people, because at the end of the day, humans talking to humans via a vast geographical system of different geopolitical and postage and whatever. There are problems, and we kind of spend a lot of our time helping people sort out problems, because that's part of the service. It's the value we add.
Yeah, so it's almost like in fact it is a tool for the community in lots of different ways in terms of the data you've been able to build up over the years, the administrative support that you offer collectors and dealers. But I'm curious, why did you land on a auctioning model? Where did that come from?
Um, I really think that there were a couple of quite successful. Rob Levinsky was one. John Vivat, rest in peace, was another. And Dan Weinrich, I think, got going fairly early with his. So there was an appeal for that kind of trading.
Yeah.
And the other is more sort of bored of me, and is that because of my Romanian budget minerals, is that I believe, and it's probably not too popular a thing, but a mineral specimen or something, an object, is only worth what someone's prepared to pay for it. So if you put something on auction, there's enough people around, they are happy with what they pay for it. They're never going to pay more than they really want to for it. So that was the concept of auctions. The other part, which is more market PR led, is the fact that we our community came together, and lots of our sellers over the years have been people who are independent mineral dealers, so they could still sell independently as a mineral dealer through eRocks. Use eRocks for outbound marketing, because obviously Fred blogs on eRocks is going to reach all our audience, and the other part is you don't want to be sending the rock you just spent $10,000 on. You don't want to be putting that $10 start price.
Yeah.
But if you buy a collection, you'll have a few of these prize items which you want to sell retail or through your existing network contacts. But when you have other less commercial pieces, you obviously it's a good way of building your asset value. So yeah. So basically, there's a whole load of different reasons why the auction thing works. We do fixed price stuff, but the auction thing is the one that's really stuck with us.
So I just want to. This connects to something that I've been thinking about a lot in terms of mineral pricing. So let's get into the meaty stuff around kind of like the mineral industry more broadly. And this is going to be a little bit of a long-winded question, so just bear with me. But I think I've got a bit of a pet peeve with this kind of new philosophy of fine mineral aesthetics that really defines beautiful minerals in quite a narrow way. You've got to have this kind of color, this kind of contrast, this kind of saturation, this kind of luster, this kind of gemminess. And I have a problem with this from two perspectives. Number one, I think at the real upper echelons of mineral collecting, it's driving prices up to really quite insane levels. And you can
Mm-hmm.
think that that's a pro or a con, but that is what's happening. And then number two, it just means that the best collections just often look the same. You've got that tourmaline, that fluorite, that rhodochrosite, that gold. What's your thoughts about this philosophy of fine mineral collecting and this very particular aesthetic that makes so-called a beautiful mineral?
That's a very good question. There's a load of stuff you can pack into an answer for that one as well. I mean, as a platform owner, I have to be completely unbiased. So no, but I know I fully hear where you're coming from, and yeah, I mean the one point which has stuck with me since very early days, because it's none of this is particularly new. And if you go outside of the fine art market and antiques, etc., it's the same.
Yeah.
Is that the elevation of as a dealer, the elevation of prices is actually quite a good thing, because what hits the top drags everything else up with it. That's a theory. My experience in life over the last 20 years is that that isn't necessarily so. And the what used to be referred to as the top 10 dealers, they have the marketplace and the contacts and can place those really high value fine art people play with people I will never ever meet.
Mm.
It's I mean it's so there is that. Personally, I can see why people are interested in the stuff, these things, but to me they are generally over curated. um,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
and then you get into the realms of you may as well buy a cut stone as a tourmaline that's been glued back together several times and preps. Looks absolutely beautiful, but is it still its natural context? And most tourmalines come out of the ground absolutely covered with silica and whatever, and they're air abraded and polished up, etc. But then you come to the other side of it, which is like the curation of the and you can do wonderful things with a dinged fluorite crystal, an opticon, and all these resin fillers, etc. Um, so yeah, and again, those things are based on the dealer and how they present themselves. Because if something's been prepped, you have to be absolutely clear what preparation has been done, etc. And that will happen at the higher level
Yeah.
because of the dealer trust, etc. But your average bit going down the money chain, are you probably not going to get that level of a preparation, which is and b that level of disclosure. So it is. But as a platform owner, we do very high end. Well, we don't do very high end stuff, but we have those kind of pieces, and there's a marketplace. People really like those things. But the other end, we'll quite happily sell a $5 interesting systematic from a an obligation or whatever, or something doesn't quite fit with the norm for a locality. Your weird minerals, you might find a really rare bit of smithsonite
Yeah.
if you go into the upper levels at Greenlaws, etc., where the zinc mineralization is oxidized. You might find tiny little grape rice seed smithsonites. Very seldom see them. Intrinsic value, well, not very much. Beauty, definitely not. But to somebody who's a weirdo collector, well, I've never seen one of these before. They want it in their collection.
Yeah.
So, and it's never going to make thousands of dollars. So again, that's just another dimension to running a platform and being interested in mineralogy.
I
Is that
love I love your diplomacy.
was there any diplomacy there? I'm really worried about saying something I shouldn't. So
No, no, you're great. You're great. I guess for me as well, one of the other pitfalls of, valorizing a very specific and narrow aesthetic is entire mineral species then become defined as ugly species. And there's this term called the black uglies, which I think kind of, really represents that. So my question to you is, what mineral species do you think are really underappreciated and not given their proper value?
any of the black uglies, because the again, it's a huge and very interesting subject. Yeah, a black ugly, like my example of the smithsonite from Greenlaws. To the right person, that is a thing of great beauty and a thing of great interest. To a systematic collection, something that's fresh out the ground at Tolbochet volcano, of which there's only like one or two specimens ever been known. Oh, absolutely died in the wall for that. And if you go into the art collection, some super presentation of Sweet Home rhodochrosite with fluorites bobbing all over the top of it. Not really a black ugly, but it's just how you see the thing in the context in which we want to see it. I love Galena.
Mm.
Sorry, that's a bit of an admission. That's the kimono open too far there, but no, I mean, but that's born of my going out collecting with my dad, because if you find a bit as a 10-year-old, a bit of shiny Galena, and it's just fascinated me ever since because it crystallizes in all sorts of different interesting ways. It's not really a black ugly, but it's pretty well a ubiquitous gang mineral or ore mineral, which everybody sort of wants to get shot of at a show because they have to carry it home otherwise. But it's no, so I'm probably not giving a very good answer to that one in terms of species, but anything that's is mineralogically unusual is interesting, and anything that's mineralogically unusual from a specific context really interesting.
Mm.
Anything in its chemistry or its formation its background is interesting. I was reading about charoites because charoites in is only found in one part of the world, um, but where it comes from, it's absolutely there's a mountain made of it, So yeah, not quite, but it's quite a ubiquitous. But dear old galena is found in charoite, so that is just like a really interesting mineralogical context. And yeah, I think it's like there's one specimen on Mindat, and it says four specimens because the guy's taken four pictures of
Yeah, yeah,
it and put on Mindat. But yeah, it's seeing things out of context. That's what really makes. And as a guy who's dealing with a platform and Thames Valley Minerals, which we're selling rocks every day of the week. We got it's a I'm ashamed of it. We've in our stock room, and you're always finding things that are really interesting. Last week I found a muscovite specimen. Muscovite, yeah, not very interesting, but it's from the Loch Nevis muscovite site, which was run for 3 years during the war because they needed the muscovite for radio valves. It's not Mindat. It's one of those ones that has escaped the interest of Mindat, unless it's on there as a completely different name. And it's a piece of muscovite, but its context, its setting, common mineral, but from a pegmatite outcrop. It's got beryl and muscovite and quartz at Loch Nevis, which which happened to be in one of my boxes in my rather under tidied storeroom. So
So,
yeah, long answer to the question there, Shanice.
so I guess one of the mineral species that has seen almost a renaissance has been fluorite, previously also considered a very common gang mineral. Have there been other things over the past 20 years that you've noticed have really changed about the industry that's maybe surprised you or that you didn't expect?
Um, it's well, I'd have to compare my 20 years with another 20 years, so that's quite tough. But and I probably not saying anything terribly original, but my reflections are, yeah, fluorite's been a current theme for I think since collecting ever started, because it is a pretty rock. It's a gang mineral, so most people would have wanted to chuck it away because in the mining context, it didn't have any real value. The bonny bits the miners used to pull out in Weirdo, at the risk of getting fired by the mine owners. That's always been fairly prevalent. And today, I mean, obviously, closed localities. You're obviously well versed with Weirdo and the rare localities there, but the Illinois mines. They've all seen massive upticks in interest and value, or perceived value. Rongo and the various alien eyes and
Yeah.
lizard eyes and whatever. But to me, they're all great, and Ocaruso produces some really weird and wacky colours and shapes and crystallizations. But you find a decent little rose-coloured octahedron on smoky quartz from the Alps. That's pretty cool. Karaoba, they've got some really lovely fluorite from there, and of course China, Mongolia. It's everywhere. Other stories and minerals that would sort of fit that piece. Calcite used to be really hot once upon a time when
Yeah.
I first started. That's sort of fallen away a bit. I've never I've never really found a huge amount of market appreciation for barite. I'm probably going to get tried as a heretic after this, but and it's never really done much for me either. But the North England barites, absolute classics,
Yeah.
and there's the Meikle mine in Nevada. They've got actually beautiful barites, but it's the market appeal is definitely with the gemstone minerals, from particularly in pegmatite settings, and gang minerals, fluorite, quartz, obviously. But there's some fascinating stories. The one I thought I might mention was the pisoterite, which pisoterite is a So originally discovered. This is kind of like a bit anecdotal, so I better be careful what I say. But we knew a guy in still don't know the same guy in Belgium, who is a traveller who spends 3 months a year in Madagascar seeking out minerals, and he's connected to the Liège Mineral Club, and they discovered back in 2003 these funny little red beryls, and were they turned up at Tucson, these little red beryls, and the John Viva actually got hold of some of these red beryls, and he literally had people knocking on his door at night in his hotel room. So, have you got these red beryls? Got these red beryls? And the whole thing became totally sensationalized at that particular Tucson, because these are fantastic, bright peach red beryls, which were. I had a phone call from John Viva, or it would have been a phone call probably in those days, saying, "Oh, those red beryls, yeah. Oh, well, my mate Benoit's got, yeah, we got loads of those. He's got 2 kilos of those." Um, and so we actually think it was 7 kilos. But anyway, these red beryls obviously became, because Pizzotta also operated in Madagascar. He got all the papers written up and got them documented as season-bearing beryls, which became Pizzotterite, named after him. And the locality died because it was completely mined out.
Yeah.
Amber Vita pegmatite. They dug the hole, got all the stuff out. It's gone. And of course, the interest waned with the value of the cut stones, etc., is insane. But in the last year, they discovered more in another locality, and I think they've actually discovered it in Afghanistan as well, not in the same quality or the same habit. So it's come back again. But in the meantime, the IMA have actually classified it not as a season-bearing beryl, but actually a species of its own type.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
so, so, the tide comes in, the tide goes out, the interest goes in, and the stories develop. The value goes. But Pizzotterite's a really good example because it has that intrinsic value as a cut stone as well as a collector piece. And
Nice.
yeah, anyway, that's a little
No, we love it.
digression from.
We love a good story. So thank you for that, Mark. I guess I'm quite interested in. You talked about kind of market behavior and kind of how markets tend to behave, and some of how markets behave are now influenced by social media. And I guess one of the good things about social media is its ability to quickly spread information. And one of the bad things about social media is its ability to quickly spread disinformation. So
Indeed.
one of the, I guess, debates that people have been having in the mineral collecting community recently has been about authentication. And in particular, there was a find of Chinese purple fluorites on quartz that caused quite the scene on Instagram. So my question to you is, how do you at eRocks handle authentication? And what advice do you have for collectors and dealers to make sure that the things that they're getting in are real and are authentic?
Right. Okay. Well, the again, I mean, it's an interesting point. The social media stuff. I started my conversation about the E-Rock, sorry, the E-Rocks, the eBay sort of Wild West days. I see that we come around full circle. Where and absolutely no disrespect to social media. Social media is brilliant. It, as you say, gets the message out there quickly. Authentication is a big problem. I've no idea what the final story was with the Chinese fluorite and the quartz crystals. I mean, I saw some at Munich show, and I just wasn't interested in it particularly. It's
I don't think it was out of Munich now.
it was. No, I saw it at Munich.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah, okay. Um, unless it was a genuine spray painted stuff, but I don't think it was. um, anyway, yeah. So go back to your wider point. The authentication, obviously, eRock's platform brokerage. We know the people who are selling through our sites. They obviously know what they're doing. There's quite a lot of our the people who work with us are patented proper mineral collectors who have their own ethical upkeep to think about as well. So you've got that playing on your side for a start. And we can go into the whole subject of fakes and forgeries, which I just think just gets far too much airplay. And it was getting far too much airplay in the year 2000. It still seems to be carrying on today. George and I, Frank, discussed, we've got our massive, great warehouse full of rocks. There's going to be fakes in there.
Mm.
And the skill and judgment is your and your business acumen is that you don't. You can sell a fake or a forgery, but you tell people what they're buying. And it's all about repairs. And there's nothing worse in life than getting onto the photographic table and writing it all out. I'm about to put the go online button, and you put your ultraviolet light on it, and you feel a little glue line around a crystal. So, it's frustrating, but you just have to be honest. And there's Justin Zizix, I think it is. He started fakeminerals.com, and it was literally 2002. It's about the same time as he started the Vogue, or took over the Vogue, which was a dealer directory type website. So the people have been faking minerals since the year dot, and still obviously do now. I'm still waiting for the answer on the Chinese fluorite, and then you go from fake to ultra preparation. Where does the guillotine drop? You just have to be upfront, clear about what you're selling, and I can speak for myself. I can virtue signal all I like, I guess, because it's my time. But everything you buy from TVM on eRocks, it's got a condition report at the bottom of it. And I tend, I'm sure the rest of the team do, tend to be fairly, what's the word, conservative.
Yeah.
About it's got a ding, it's got a ding. When it arrives in the package, you're going to see the ding anyway, so you may as well tell people before they actually commit to buying it. So you get caught out sometimes. Best thing to do is say, look, got caught out, I'm sorry, it wasn't intentional.
I guess there are some people who have also made it a form of collecting as well. So I know there are people that collect fakes, which is great. There's a market for everything.
Well, send me a few email addresses afterwards. We can fill their shelves. But it's interesting. And going across the guy I met from Belgian, Luxembourg, the guy who's growing the alum crystals on the fluorites. He's cut quite a dash at Munich, and I think he's been over in Tucson. And he grows these really beautiful alum crystals.
Oh, I've seen those. Saw those in Munich. Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, and he's a really amazing, lovely guy. He's a chemistry teacher, and he loves crystals, and he's a really big collector. I had a long chat with him, but those aren't fakes, but they're not mineral specimens, and that's and his stitches. They're not fakes. They are relics, or whatever you want to call them, but they are made by him in a lab. He's done quite well with them. But at the end of the day, he's displaying a quartz crystal with these little alum hexagons on there with all beautiful colours he's put into them, and they look great, but they're not mineral specimens.
Yeah.
However, and it's quite a big thing. I know it's quite a big thing with you, etc. The perspex bases. You buy a really expensive tourmaline, you get it cut, CNC cut and stand the thing up in it with its label on the bottom of it. What's the difference between that and sticking the crystal on a piece of rock? That's a slightly weird analogy, but I before Christmas came across this really, really lovely cinnabar specimen in our inventory. Lovely big drill bit cinnabar crystals, and they were quite famous fakes in the year 2000. And we trimmed it up, and I thought, put it up for sale, and I said UV light on it. Oh shit! Excuse me, sorry. So what can you do there? Well, it's a beautiful drill bit cinnabar, 1.5 centimeter cinnabar crystal stuck on a piece of matrix. So just sell it as that, and someone was quite happy to buy it from us. But
Brilliant.
so you're going from the alum crystals on the quartz, which is where the base is the actual mineral specimen with the alum crystals growing on it, through to my drill bits on dolomite. The perspex stand, if you like, is the actual dolomite. Someone stuck it onto, going through to the tourmaline crystal stuck in a perspex stand. There's something for everybody there if they want to go that way.
I just put
So,
the link to the Cinnabar in the chat if anyone was just wanting to see
oh
what
yeah, great.
I
That'd
was
be
talking
lovely
about.
to have a look
I'll
at.
scrub the price out, please.
So I guess I really want to hear about what's next for eRocks before, and then I want to open up to questions from the floor. But I just got one more question for you about the industry, which is, what do you think are some of the less helpful or actively bad practices in mineral dealing, and what would you like to see mineral dealers doing differently into the future of dealing?
That's a really tough question, that. And yeah, thanks for that one. The old cricket bat out and play the defensive shot there. Um, I mean, we'll come on to what we're doing in the future in a minute. My vision is the world of mineral collecting is actually changing with technology. Um, the bad practice at the moment, I don't think I need to tell you too much. You just go on to any of the social media um, pages, and you'll see things that you will either think is a good practice or a bad practice. But certainly from the current eRocks perspective is that if you're offering something online, I've sort of covered this already. Honesty, disclosure, communication, all the human attributes that you need to successfully generate the trust and interest of your viewers and your potential buyers. So the there's some people really good at it and very successful, obviously, and success comes with that building of trust. But it is. I've got to go back and say it's a little bit like the Wild West at the moment, which is. I think that does need to change. I don't
Yeah.
know how it changes, and but it's like any. I mean, I genuinely believe most people are there to enjoy the hobby, enjoy the whole wider thing. I don't have a particular downer on any particular interest group going through from crystal healing, which I personally don't understand, but I can understand why people are part of that particular group, going through to people collecting aesthetics, people collecting systematics. We're all in it for a common interest enrich our lives. So that to me is fine. And the majority of people I've ever come across are in it for the same common good. And the other part of it, which is probably economically, it's really good because well, we'll assume that everybody's right and honest and pays their taxes, etc. But it's really good for the economy
Mm.
and all those things. I've made a living out of it and I'm supporting two members of my family as part of the whole thing. So, but it ain't nothing special really, and I think that's another part that people just think that it is. What am I trying to say? I've lost my train of thought. eRock's fantastic. It's been quite successful, but at the end of the day, there's not anything really to stop other people doing that. It was
Yeah.
just the thought process and the work. It's not been easy. That's another part I'd lay on anybody. There is no instant success out there. There isn't. So yeah. So probably quite a weak answer there.
No,
Probably
no,
a
no.
4 out of 10 for that one, I think.
No. I think I like the positive vibes and positive message behind it. So just you ended there on kind of eRocks and eRocks legacy. I think one of my favorite features is your image database. So when I first became a collector, I got a subscription and I would see something, for example, on eBay or that a dealer was selling, and I'd be like, oh, I'm not so sure about the provenance of that. So I'd go onto eRocks and I'd click the locality and I'd check to see all the hundreds of things from that locality that I've sold before. And that's really enriched me as a collector. You know, I have a real depth of knowledge of different localities and things that have sold over the past 20 years as a result of your database. So first of all, thank you. But my second
That's right.
question is that's a huge resource that you have there. So what do you plan to do with that database moving forward?
Well, that's a very good question, and a nicely open question as well. And again, we'll just go back to my roots, systems and processes all my life. A bit of vision chucked in there as well. I knew when I kicked off eRocks that we were creating a platform which was going to amass loads of data. It wasn't particularly a conscious thought in those days, but yeah, I thought, right, okay, we're getting all this data building up, and it was very slow at the beginning anyway. We didn't have anything like the stuff that's going through us now, through which we've basically recorded. We got an ERP, an enterprise. I need to find me a bit of paper, but it's because I'm used to remembering enterprise resource program. So thank you. I'm useless with TLCs, TLAs. That's the one. I'm trying my best. So back in 2015, it was. I was sat there. I don't think George was working with you there, but I was working very closely when we built the new platform with Graham, our web developer, and so you've got a lot of data here. And I said, yeah. And we built a system called Elasticsearch into the new website, which is like a real black art in those days. It's like your own Google running on the website. I thought, yeah, great. I don't know what that means really. But one of the things that really bugged me was, and Mindat is a fantastic resource, and they've been a fantastic backbone to a lot of what we do. You couldn't actually say to your search results, show me the arsenates from Sumeb.
Yeah.
So I started a thing called the Arsenate Project. And bear in mind, this is before the days of AI. I started to look at data management, data modeling, and classification systems, of which there are many. And the Arctic Project was born. I started with really out there, really was on etymology. I was just fascinated by one of the things that having a daughter who was I think she was about 16 or 17 then, a very strident young woman, and how many mineral names are there that involve women? And Marie Curie's got two, and about that was about, I think it was about 50, I think, as all told. But these things fascinated me, and in the context of the whole naming of things. There's the Leveson bit, which is the CAs and whatever CEs and CSs that follow letters as letters after mineral names as postfixes. There's a whole thing there, and of course then you can link that to when these people lived, what they did for a living, etc. Yep. So I built an etymology database, basically through employing a bunch of people to help me do the research. So that was where I started, and now winding it forward, AI's turned up. I've got 830,000 mineral specimens recorded in our catalogue, and 24,000 localities or something like that.
Wow, yeah, huge data.
Yeah, so massive data. I've got this ERP. I'm testing an enterprise resource program, so I know exactly how much each of those is sold for. I know how many views each of those has had, how many watches that they've had. All totally anonymized, and in the 21st century, of course, we've got now machine learning. So I have been basically, two things happened to me. One is that the platform's about to concave. It's quite old, so we need to change that, which we're well into the final stages of finishing that off. And the other was got to do all this data, but I literally have sat down for the last 6 months. Is it?
No, longer than that, mate.
Uh,
Longer than that.
Working out what to do with this stuff, and we've built a whole load of stuff now that you were going through your using it for research for mineral specimens. We've kind of that's still valid and still part of it. That still fits within our Elasticsearch type. Look something up and you'll see the pictures. But we've now gone into analyze all our data, done a whole load of association testing, built a big, massive, great machine learning system behind it. So we've got I don't know how many million pairs of fluorite with calcite, fluorite with sphalerite, fluorites from Hilton, fluorites from wherever it is, outliers, inliers, all the pricing history going across. So you can imagine how useful that would be to collectors. So basically, we've done that, and we're about to. Is it going to be this Friday?
What is the app?
Yeah, the app. We're about to launch an app. We launched an app last 2 weeks ago.
Relaunched the original systematics.
Yeah, we relaunched our original systematics application. That's right, which was so we've now plumbed in a lot of the the machine learning into the back end of the app.
Brilliant.
Which will hopefully enrich the collector's pocket, as it were. Frank fires up a couple of the.
Well, which one do you like me to show first, Father? Because we've got this isn't necessarily all about.
Oh well, let's as it's current. We'll Frank's got a quick video, 40-second long video, what the app looks like. So
brilliant.
This will be, but yeah,
so this is just to be clear. This is the one that's dropping this Friday.
Did I say that? I said
you did say it out loud, Dad. I wasn't going to say that out loud.
Maybe something is happening in the next week or so.
Oh no, it's imminent. I think the issue is actually with the bloody apps. Excuse my, God, I'm terrible with the App Store because I managed to mess up my my business credentials, so we've had to redo those. But no, the app's all ready. We'll have a little video in Frank. Have you got that? Can you see that?
Yep, that's popped up.
It's quite funny because we were going to demo using the app and scroll through it, but our developer had made loads of updates and it's now broken. But
not broken.
Not broken as in it's a bit buggy. But this is just a little video. So this quickly is a little live feed that we'll have of mineral specimens, and then those are different pictures. Sorry, a mineral species, and then these are different pictures of the of those minerals. And basically, it's a scroll through feed. We will have there's little like trivia and stuff. I think there was a question that just popped up, but it's like an infinite scroll of minerals and pictures, and that's
so this is the kind of doom scrolling we've been waiting for, basically. Instead of doom scrolling about all the awful things that are happening in the world, we can now doom scroll minerals.
Exactly.
No, it's and that's a very good point because in terms of our strategy, as I said, we've got and you kindly pay for your service. We will have a full there's 50. No, there's 6,200 IMA species, so they're all covered. We obviously haven't sold all 6,200. Sorry, I've got a decimal point out there. So some of but we have got full cover of everything that which we I think we're up to about 4,500, 4,700 species from the IMA list that we've processed over the last 20 years. So, something like fluorite from Weird-Al, there's loads of it. Something like Tulbachek, gold from Tulbachek volcano, it's like one or two specimens. But the concept we had is with machine learning, you can do an awful lot of very clever stuff.
Yeah.
So we've analysed and we'll it will be in the app, but we'll go on to actually what you can see. But the concept of the app is that you will have a archive view, so you literally can. And again, doff my cap to Mindat. It's quite like Mindat in its presentation, etc. However, it's Mindat's scientific classification. And all the properties and facts about minerals. This is much more skewed towards where specimens have been sold in the last 20 years on e-rocks, price trends, we can do all that. Yeah, there's an assessment of rarity we'll show you in a minute. So the app is just putting that in your pocket. And I've been using it in the storeroom. You find a dodgy old label, you can just tap it in and it will find out what it is for you straight away and show you pictures for
Brilliant.
comparison, etc. So it's a useful tool. And you can then use the tool then for getting more into what we think things should be priced at, etc. Bear in mind it's a subjective and it's set on our auction platform as opposed to so those are prices people have paid over the 20 years. You'll find disagreement all across the piece because we're obviously just a subset, but you'll be able to see trends and values and assessments. So, yeah. And the other side of the thing that's disappeared is that it will be a live connection to Erox as well. So,
oh yes, sorry. Yeah.
So you'll see everything that's and search and see, and it's all connect to Erox, and we'll have live bidding on it very shortly. Other parts of it, which Frank said, we will have was I don't know how many million pages of stuff, but it'll have loads of informations and quizzes and all those things on there. Articles. I'm quite good at writing articles for my own consumption, but we've shown that, and we got a really clever guy who writes occasional blogs for us, so we'll be bringing him back in to write some more comedy blogs for us. So no, it's an ongoing thing, but no, it will be. And I said next Friday because that's when I planned, but that's before I realised that I'd broken something in the App Store. But it's ready to launch and
imminently. So it will be imminent.
Yeah, okay. Well, we will. If the people are interested, we'll be publicising it in all the usual places, mainly our website. But yeah,
fantastic. So I guess just the final question from me is, and this is, I guess, maybe about your personal taste, Mark, is what is in your history of being a mineral dealer, not a collector, what is the most memorable specimen you have ever handled?
Only because I've got a really good story with it. Because there's a couple, but the one that I really love because it just brought all the threads together, including being an absolute manic mineral person, was a couple of years back. Our English colleagues here, UK colleagues here on call, remember the Laban Mineral Show, which started. I think it was just after the Brexit vote, which is 2016.
Yep.
It was organised by oh god, bloody hell, I hope there's a name. But anyway, the show was organised in connection with the Laban. I think Ralph Sutcliffe had a hand in part of it. The Laban auction house had this massive, great mineral auction of. It had a lot of Harry Edmonds stuff in, which was people just didn't realise what it was, and we were just about to go to Munich because we just not Munich to Germany to fly to Munich, drive to another collection we've got from a museum, and we thought, oh, it's too good a thing to miss. And I sat here in the house with George, flicking through the saleroom.com, which is where the auction catalogue was being thing, and we go, yeah, that's going. And bear in mind, this is a mineral show. That was there's no chance we're going to, with all the big buyers up there, the chance of getting anything. But anyway, George flipped through all this thing, and he said, "Dad, is that what I think it is in that corner of that box?" And I said, what do you think it is? He said, well, I think it's a horse tooth siderite. And 5 o'clock next morning, we were in the car on the way up there. We had a fantastic day out. But bear in mind, we had to be up at 5 o'clock the following morning to get home, get back 5 o'clock the following morning to drive off to Germany. And sure enough, in the corner of this box was a horse tooth siderite. It was in a box of dusty rocks that came out of the cellar of this we didn't know where at the time, and it was just full of dusty rocks. But we bought the box of rocks, and I went to say for how much, and it was this horse tooth siderite, which is fantastic. Through which then we brought the rest of the rocks home and realised that it was actually a really fantastic collection of me stashed in this stately home for God knows, some of the horse-tooth siderite was 1840 or so. I think it was the
Wow.
wheel modelling, but all this is contemporary North British Wensleydale. Because this, we then traced the collection back through the auction house and found out full chapter and verse and who the collector was and his status, etc. So we were able to actually not only enjoy the rush and the thrill of the kill, but we actually then were able to properly catalogue and restore all these things back to some sort of notice. So yeah, that was a good one.
I've just put the link to that horsetooth star in the chat if anyone wants to have a look.
Yeah, I've just clicked it, and it's absolute classic, isn't it?
Beautiful.
Absolutely amazing.
Not massive, but it's still
Not massive, but just something really interesting. So yeah, so that's and in fact in that collection, going back, there was a very nicely faked Cornish fluorite. So God knows how old that was. It's from St Agnes with the crystal stuck back on the on the face of the crystal, so on the matrix. So they were doing it back in those days, and so yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for that, Mark. It was a real pleasure to chat to you. And I'm just gonna now open it up to everyone else to see if you've got any questions from the floor. Anyone
We've
want to jump in? Go for it.
Paolo Vasquez has already put one in, Dad. Um, how is the research process for specimens like these? Does it happen when you're cataloguing, listing, or your own knowledge, further research? I think Paolo was specifically talking about an uncommon specimen that might become from a rare occurrence, but does it come from your general knowledge, or how do you infer?
That's a very good question. I mean, and it also depends. If it's me personally, well, then I will just research and through my network. If it's something, if it's a SUMEB thing, I've got quite a few people I can rely on in terms of getting things XRD'd or Raman tested. And if it's we've got quite a few sellers who work with us who are specialists. Two or three of them have got the minerals named after them, so they have all their own XRD and are actively researching, etc. And
well, so, Carsten in the cool, he's one, I think.
Hello, Carsten. Yes, you're definitely one of the named few of experts in your own fields. I mean, yes, Carsten's particularly a Black Forest Clara expert. I think slotherite is named after one of his discoveries.
Back to Paolo's question. I'm talking about the wolfenite maclocite samples we had tested.
Oh yeah, that came out of no names, no pack drills, but there was a bunch of maclocite specimens that appeared at Haywards Heath show last year. They had the same sort of maclocite habit, but just too good to be true. And we had them sent off, and they were probably SUMEB wolfenites, but they weren't. They never saw the light of day again. But these things happen. It's always best to be certain. So it's a combination of what it might be, circumstances. There's certainly a lot of knowledge, and you can never be 100% sure. But unnamed localities for I think even hopefully most of the people here would be able to recognise their own collecting area. Of different weird ale mines, etc. You can definitely tell a Camber Keels from a Fraser's Hush piece. 99% of the time. See, there are sort of crossovers, but it's and we've we're building systems in there which will help people do that as well.
Well, that comes from your experience as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Being able to identify that's
I mean,
something you can't teach.
In all of this thing, experience, handling them, dealing with them, working with them, living with them, it counts for so much. And obviously listening to others and being prepared to be told, prepared to live with disappointments like the maclocite bits from Haywards Heath.
Yeah.
So that's a really good question. I'm just trying to see if there's any others popped in.
I haven't seen
any. Yeah.
Has anyone got any other questions you want to jump in and ask?
If we got a moment, because it might be interesting to the group.
We've got one,
isn't it?
Oh,
will this bloke shut up, please? No, I'm sorry.
unfortunately, you won't be. It's very hard to make Dad quiet. Andy H is asking, looking forward to that. Will it be free?
The short answer is yes. The because obviously we're recycling a lot of MINDAP data, so that is the threshold. We cannot possibly consider making anything out of what we're providing from MINDAP, because MINDAP would probably cut us off anyway. But and there will be a limit to how much of the EROC stuff you can see. You'll still be able to see EROC's photographs, etc. Otherwise, it won't work at all. But we will be charging for the higher order stuff. And we're going to pack much more into that. There's our knowledge base connections, etc., will be put into that as well. And the reason why that can't be free is because I just spent 6 months of my life actually developing it. So,
Well, it's also an extension of the collector's camp we already have on Erox.
yeah.
So you won't be able to see any of like the prices or sold prices like you wouldn't unless you had the collector's camp on Erox.
Yeah,
But yeah, it'll be free, and we won't charge you any money to bid on any of the items either, of course.
no. It's and I said it's a value add, and as I said, you'll get an awful lot of use out. The current app's free. You can download that. It's not the data is not 100% up to date, but it's still pretty good. It'll still tell you the crystal system of Galena crystal if you care to look, and that's free to use. That'll still be there. The future plans for the other parts. I've built a chatbot, but I'm not too sure about it because chatbots are really expensive to run. But we'll be using the machine learning to support everything that comes out through the site. The other parts of the app, which I will again we need to get it out, is we've inventory creation app, which we will basically it reads labels. You can talk to it, you can show it CSVs, etc. It just processes everything through to your photographs.
Brilliant.
And stick that into Erox. That's what we built it for. But we intend to launch that for people for collecting. That will probably be free because at the end of the day, it's people's data. I just wanted to track back because I listened to a really wonderful talk by Ruth Smith back in June last year on crystal modelling.
Yep.
I'm come on.
I thought we were questions, Dad.
No, I think we finished the questions, haven't we? Unless somebody else got another question.
If you've got a final bit to show us, go for it.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, inspired by Ruth Smith. It's actually something I was working on beforehand.
One would jump to you first, Dad.
I'll do the crystallography, not the flora. That'd be
Okay.
So yeah. So
where is
what you done, Frank?
Sorry. There we go.
Right. So we built. Some of this might be a bit familiar. We've built a crystal modelling tool, which I said, Rugo, fabulous talk. I was very interested in understanding more about crystallography, and we have basically developed a new system which allows you to.
Oh, this is fun.
Yeah, thank you.
That's my Chaiwoon Quarry crystal right there. Cube octahedron.
Well, I think it's meant to be a Cooperite, judging by the colour. But yeah, no, absolutely right. When we can change you. So yeah, it's cube octahedrons. The whole concept works on. There you go. That's more like Chaiwoon. Well, it's not actually dark purple.
We do dark purple.
Yeah.
What colour it was.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's work in progress. But we've developed a fully capable, interactive crystal modeling system, which does all the tints and all the renderings, does transparency. If you click the button, it will put these Miller indices on it for you. Go and do that. So it does all
brilliant.
that.
So will this be a desktop app or phone combo?
It will work
desktop, yes.
primarily desktop. It does cool things like it ingests photographs. Again, it was a bit experimental, but there's a wolfenite somewhere that we drew from just a photograph of a wolfenite crystal. If Frank clicks the button for wolfenite, and it can do that.
I have to type it in. Give me 1 second.
So not that it's terribly terribly thing, but it was something I was my daughter's graduation. I thought, well, let's see if we can do that. That's not it, but so yeah. But basically, that's just drawn that crystal off a photograph.
Oh, brilliant.
So, and again, you've got all the tools to make it extend the ratios of axes to it. You can put in all the different. There's a little habit button, so you can add forms to it. So you can put your different faces in there, and it tells you if you make a mistake, like it's just done there. And just to keep people in too much longer, we are working on more advanced things. So you can pull up this is for Shanice, this one. I did this especially for you, Shanice.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Oh, a twin. Yes.
Yeah. So we can do twin drawings. Unfortunately, for some reason, the parquet patterning's not coming out on this. It's one of those things when you try and show people. So it does your twinning. You make it transparent, Frank. Go on and
transparent. Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
That is. Oh no, it's not. It's this.
No,
actually, I've got it.
And you can make it a proper Weird Al thing by
Brilliant.
You can modify you haven't done the put the
Well, give the corners, yeah.
So you can put corners
brilliant,
on it.
Yeah.
So but yeah, all those things are to come. I don't know. I've got so much more to show because it's all going on the new website. We've done desirability, collectability. There's compare minerals. We've done a percentage. Statistically, we've worked out similar minerals, which is so if you put in something really rare, it gives you sort of probabilities of others proximity to other minerals, which is quite interesting. It's obviously quite subjective. Yeah, there's a whole ton of stuff we've done with our machine learning. This thing will take any mineral species if it's got correct space group and dimensions. It will. Frank's playing now. Look, it will generate. You type in barite into the search. It will fire up a barite crystal for you, etc. And you can then modify it and change it.
Brilliant.
So, and we're doing another one with color. So yeah, there's a lot going on basically, which is much more interesting than talking about my school days. But, and some of this we're going to make interactive on the web pages as well. So draw me a cube octahedral fluorite crystal. It will actually draw one up for you. So yeah, it's cool.
No, that's fantastic. And we've got a final question. We'll end on this from the chat, which is: would you be able to enter a scanned crystal and check its ID?
The short answer is it depends how it's been scanned.
I think.
Do you mean photographically, or XRD or Raman spectrum? What is would be my who asked the question? And I mean, the base answer, if it's data driven, yes, provided we've got the data to compare it against. If it's photographic, we are working on it. As you said, the wolfenite crystal was actually a genuine photograph I showed to the model, and it said, it's one of those. Again, accuracy is all to do with training, and we've got something in the region of 4 million photographs, which some of them will not be useful, but there's a very large population sample we can process for color and for shape. Wolfenite is quite an easy one, so yeah. But if it's something like a quartz crystal, we could probably tell you it's a quartz crystal. If you want to know it's a Dauphin habit, probably going to be at the edge of what we can do. But the honest answer is watch this space when it's sort of stuff we're interested in doing. So
fantastic.
And we're trying to obviously through contacts and friends we'll get hold of some better and database material from there's the rough project, etc. We've got open source data that will fit into this model.
Brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, took the hind legs off donkey. But yeah, it's all to come, guys and
Thank you so
girls.
much. Yeah, no, that's absolutely fantastic, and it's really great to hear both where you've come from as a business and a service for the community, and also where you're going. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no, thank you for anybody who's interested. Anybody wants to get in touch with me privately or individually, who wants to interested in some of the stuff we're doing, please feel free, because at the end of the day, it is a community thing. I'll probably learn as much from you as you'll learn from me, which is brilliant. And I really, really hope that it continues to thrive, because at the end of the day, it is for the community. I'm sorry that we do have to charge for some of it, but that's we have to feed ourselves as well. But at the end of the day, it's my retirement's coming up, so I need to take care of myself. I'm not a next gen person,
No,
so
but you're a supporter, that's what counts.